the Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, give a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Check out all our past episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you pod. What if these celebrities weren't famous? What would they have become? What was their first job? We're about to find out.
He wears number 92 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He won a Super Bowl with them just a few years ago, and life wasn't easy, as you're about to hear from the Ghost, Will Gholston, my guest this week on Celebrity Jobber. So tell me a little bit about growing up in the D, because Detroit has changed quite a bit, I'd say, from the time you grew up to now.
Growing up in Detroit was a very unique situation, definitely compared to Tampa or any other place I've been. I feel like Detroit was a place where you had to grow up quick. You learn how to be street smart before you learn to be book smart. And common sense always takes you further in life than anything else.
So when you were younger, growing up in Detroit, did you find yourself, learning from the streets?
Definitely. Product of my environment. So when I was a kid, I want to say from like 11 and a half, 12, I was homeless until I got drafted. So I was in the streets. I was at friends' house, aunties, uncle houses, girlfriends' houses, slept in the car. So, yeah, I had to pick up on things to do, things not to do, places to be, and places not to be.
So as you were homeless between, 12 and 18 years old, tell me a little bit about your family, your mom, your dad. Were they homeless? Are they in the picture?
They were in the picture. They weren't homeless. It's just they didn't have the means to be able to take care of me.
Wow. And what did your mom and dad do? Did they work? Were they working for, the car manufacturers in Detroit?
Yeah. They had jobs.
Wow. That had to be pretty tough. Sleeping in cars, couch surfing. Did you just think that was normal, or did you realize that
my norm? It was nothing to put my head down about, because at the end of the day, my whole mindset was I got today,
Wow.
I ate when I ate. And then my coaches and my mentors helped me out a lot. They, shoes sometimes clothes. Not to say that my family wasn't there at times. It's just majority of the time they just didn't have the means. When they had the means to be able to do something, we did stuff. I still got memories with my mom, my dad, and my sister, brother. But predominantly, I was by myself or with somebody else's family.
Wow, man. That's like, it's just knowing that about you now makes the story even more incredible, to where you are today. And tell me a little bit about those mentors and those coaches growing up. When did you find the first guy that you could look up to that was a coach or a mentor when you were growing up?
Well, my first ever mentor was my dad. He coached me until from D team, we call it D team in PAL when I was Little League, until like my freshman year of high school.
Awesome. So
that's what I mean. Like my parents are still around, but
right.
When I tell you they ain't had the means to take care of me, they could barely survive it on themselves. Like,
yeah,
they live with other people. So
no doubt about it.
Anyway.
No, look, it was tough. Growing up in certain parts of the country, it was tough. And, sometimes mom and dads were a part of, the kids' lives. But like you said, they didn't have the means. They couldn't afford to take care of you properly. And you had to do what you had to do. So you maintained a great relationship. Dad was definitely a mentor, which is cool. Your relationship with dad today, how is that?
He passed away in 2016. But
oh, sorry to hear.
It was pretty good though.
Mom still around?
Yep, my mom's still around. She don't live too far away from me. She moved down here to Tampa.
Awesome.
The relationship is pretty real. Pretty legit. I consider her a very close friend. So we still have closeness. It's just the reality of it is, like, growing up, you got a little anger and resentment, but the reality of it is hard. Life is not easy, especially being an adult and a parent now. I can only imagine how hard it was back then.
And, Will, you grow up, you succeed in life, that resentment kind of fades away a little bit when you get old enough to understand, like, hey, man, things were tough back then. It wasn't easy. And, and then you start, understanding a little bit about, how things were, and that stuff goes away. And now a new relationship begins. And it's just the beginning. You're a young guy. You're still, 30, 31 years old. So you got a long time left to enjoy life with your mom. What about brothers and sisters?
Oh, yeah, I have an older brother, Terry. I have an older sister as well, Shanice, and I have a younger sister, Ashley. We all still talk, we kick it, we laugh, we joke and play. None of the stuff that happened in our past kind of substantially affected us. It didn't take away, understandably, still have our own issues, but none of that stuff really affected us. We still family at the end of the day. We still kick it, talk, laugh. I see all my nieces and nephews,
And what do your siblings do now that they're all grown up? What kind of jobs and occupations are they involved in?
My sister is a licensed cosmetologist. She also has a, what's that thing called? Certificate in computer engineering. My younger sister, I don't know what she do with it, on her day-to-day.
Right.
My older brother, he doesn't live in Florida, so I'm not 100% sure what he does. And my older sister, she lives in Detroit still, so.
Tell me a little bit about football, Will, and when football became a big part of your life, and your concentration probably went into football, because outside of that, you didn't have, things were tough for you. So maybe what age were you when you started devoting all of your time to football and trying to make a career out of it?
I'll say when I got to high school, athletics kind of, for a long part of my life, was paying for me to have nicer things, like the way that I felt like, me personally, my coaches won't say this, but I felt like I was playing for food and playing for shelter, you feel me? So
yeah.
I had to do what I had to do. So it's been like that since I was in high school, when it mattered. Little league, people take care of you and, you get some food here and there, but yeah, no, it's been like that since I was 14?
Right.
15.
What about, tell me about Coach D'Antonio and how you met him and why you chose to go to Michigan State over all the other schools that were recruiting you.
Yeah, man, I originally wanted to either go to Alabama or USC, to be honest with you. I met Coach D'Antonio first time when I went up there, and he was such a cool, humble, genuine guy. He reminded me of like a grandfather figure, even to this day. Got a lot of respect for Coach D. But I lost all my visits. I played a game of pool, and it was totally my idea. I was playing some pool, and I was like, Coach D, I was coming up there to tell him I was about to take an official visit to Alabama, but I was already committed to Michigan State. I said, Will, you're already committed to us, man. It's not going to look good. I said, you're right. All right, I had 2 balls left. If I knock these 2 balls in before you knock yours in, I'm going. But if you beat me, I won't go, and I give up all my official visits. Needless to say, he beat me. I gave up all my official visits.
So D'Antonio's a little bit of a pool shark, is what you're telling me,
man,
Will. Wow.
He was. He was letting me win.
I'll tell you, I don't want to be judgmental here, but old white guy like D'Antonio, I would definitely not expect him to take a guy from the streets of Detroit in a game of pool. That's for sure.
That might have been like the 7th time I ever played pool. I was just, when you're young and you're just full of gusto and you think, you could do anything and conquer the world.
Absolutely.
I knew I was winning, but, it was lessons I learned. I learned how to humble yourself, and also I learned how to be a man of your word. Because I did everything I told him I was going to do and wasn't going to do, I did.
What did you major in Michigan State, Will? What kind of classes did you take, and what did you think, if football didn't work out for you, what was it going to be that you were going to do? Human
development and family science. So I was going to either wind up going into being a psychiatrist or social work.
Really? Was a social worker kind of a thing that you thought of because you wanted to help kids that grew up like you?
Not necessarily. When I was taking those classes, it helped me get a better understanding of what I went through and how I was coping with it and the trauma that affected me. And it wasn't per se just kids that I was going to work with. I just wanted people to know, like, some of the things that happen to you cause trauma, and depending on how you cope with it is dependent on how you're going to perceive your world and how your life view is going to be. So if you just alter them just a little bit and look at the bright side of it, so it'll be a whole lot easier. And I was like, you know what? I think I need to teach the people that I know this type of stuff. So.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool stuff. What kind of job? Do you remember your first paying job? Not in,
Yep.
What was your very first job?
My granddad got me a job at a car wash, and I was washing the tires, and it was like $20 a car.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Yeah. That's pretty good money for a kid. How old were you?
I think I was like, like 10, 11?
Oh, wow.
If it was on Livernois in Detroit.
Was that your only job? Did you have other jobs when you were growing up?
What else? No, I mean, that's the only real legitimate job I had for sure.
That's the real job.
I sold candy in high school.
But washing tires on cars back when you were 10 years old, that was the first legit paycheck you got until when? When you got on the Buccaneers?
Yeah, and I didn't even really get the paycheck. It was basically my granddad was paying me to do that.
Gotcha. Do you ever think back when you think of that first bit of money that you made as a job, and then you look back at your first paycheck that you got with the Bucks and go, man, I've come a long way. Ever think about that?
Every time I look in the mirror, I say I've come a long way. I didn't believe I was going to make it past the age of 18.
Really?
I did. Yeah.
What did you think? You thought you'd just be a product of your environment and that would be it?
For sure. Not even a product. I thought I'd be a part of the ecosystem. I don't know. I'm watering it down. Life wasn't easy, but it was manageable.
Well, you have to learn. You have to learn how to live with it. I mean, it's life. And it's not easy all the time, but you have to learn to live with it. And I just think it's incredible that you didn't think that past 18 you'd be around. But I also like the fact that you say you're grateful every time you look in the mirror. I mean, I think that's cool. Tell me a little bit about your big break. Do you remember when and where? Was it a series of games or things that happened when you were in college that you said to yourself, man, I'm going to be in the NFL. I'm going to do this. Do you remember what that was or what that moment was that you maybe consider your big break? Maybe it was some luck, a lot of skill, but maybe there was some chance?
Transitioning from my freshman to my sophomore year.
Okay, what happened?
So my freshman year, I wasn't good. Everybody was bigger than me. I was fast enough to keep up with them, but they were just bigger and stronger. And I was like, man, I need to do a lot of work. Tore my labrum, and the recovery time, like doing the physical therapy and the recovery, really made me extremely strong. And then when I came back my sophomore year, going into that year, everything just clicked. All my friends was balling. We were balling. The defense was doing good. And I was like, yo, man, this NFL stuff was like, I got a shot at it. But it really didn't hit me until like my second year in the NFL. Really? Yeah.
So did you start having people looking at you in your sophomore year? And when was it, your junior year, you went into the NFL draft?
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about the NFL compared to college. Tell us, obviously the cash, the money is different because there's, back when you were playing, there was no NIL deals like there is today. But what's the difference when you're now a grown man and you're making money and you're getting these coaches barking at you in the NFL as compared to college? Is it different? Do they coach you different because of that?
I think there's different levels of coaching, different coaching styles. So I won't be able to answer that per se, but the one thing I can say, that the biggest difference in my opinion from college to the NFL is if you don't work, you don't eat. Like in college, they pick you off of your potential that you had in high school and what they can develop you as. In NFL, your development is solely on yourself. Like it's only so much a coach can teach you. It's up to you to continue to train and continue to work to last in the league. Your potential can only last you a few years when you first get here. So if you don't work and you don't put the effort in, you won't eat. And your job, depending on how well you do, is depending on how well your coaches sometimes last.
Right.
Because if you're doing bad, your coach can get fired.
Sure.
I've seen it. So
I'm sure you have. Was there a point in your rookie season or maybe your first couple of seasons when you were like, oh, shit, man, I better get my ass in gear here. I don't want to get cut. I don't want to have to go back home. I don't know what I'm going to do. Was there any of that, or did you click right away as soon as you got to the NFL?
Always thought I was, even now to this day, it's always a chance to get cut. So I always try to, I've never been a person not to work. I always put the work in. I work as hard as I can, no matter what. If the clock is punching, I'm punching it.
Tell me a little bit about, here it is. You knew this was coming because this had to be a big part of your life for at least a couple of years. Tell us about Tom Brady, meeting the GOAT and what he brought to the table and your relationship with him.
He's actually a really, really cool guy, man. And I didn't assume that he was or wasn't. I didn't know he was going to be as cool as he was. He's actually pretty funny, too, in my opinion.
Really?
I haven't had a lot of one-on-one conversations with him, or even to say that we're extremely close friends, but just watching him from the outskirts. That dude is pretty funny. He's very genuine, and, he's a natural type of leader. And just with his accolades, you're able to follow him just off of his work ethic.
Did you think when he came to the team, were you guys going like, oh, Jesus, here comes this guy. We're going to have another guy up our ass? Because obviously you didn't know him personally, didn't know what to expect. And were you guys kind of like, what was your feeling when you first heard that Tom Brady was coming to the Bucs? Was it excitement? Did you just not know? You didn't know what you were going to get?
When I found out, I looked at Nacho and I said, hey, yo, we about to go to the Super Bowl. And we did.
That was such an incredible season. And you would think I don't care who the quarterback is. You played in this game a long time to know it's a team game, and the quarterback is an important position, but he's not the team. The team has to click. How did the team click and get ready so fast with a new member of the team? How did it all happen through the season? It didn't look that great. I mean, it looked good in the beginning of the season, but it progressively got better and better as you continue to gel.
I think it was just a level of attention to detail that we had that year. It was insane, from X's and O's to hanging out to doing all of the right things. I feel like we did all the right things. We were accountable for all of our actions. We did everything we needed to do, and it panned out. Plus, it was a crazy year, and as well, it was COVID.
Yeah.
COVID kicked in, so it was really crazy, and we just stayed as disciplined as we could, and it helped us out.
That feeling of winning a Super Bowl, can you describe it in words or not? I mean, you're into football, you're playing in high school, you're playing in college now. The ultimate goal to win a Super Bowl with, a guy like Tom Brady and a team like the Bucs with that defense. And I mean, is there a way to even describe what's going through your mind when the whistle blows and the game is over?
Nope.
There is no words to describe it.
Try to think of, what's a good analogy? So if you're in a roller coaster, you hit a really big hill and your stomach drops?
Yes.
Or if you jump off a cliff into a bunch of water?
Yes.
So you think about that highest point and let it ride consistently. That's the feeling.
And how long does it last?
My memory was this. So we won the Super Bowl. I remember being on the field and the confetti dropping and just screaming excitement and smiling and being happy. And then I opened my eyes, I blinked, and I remember being on the boat.
Great.
Doing the same thing.
That boat looked like a lot of fun, man. I wish I was watching you guys from the shore, but man, that boat looked like a lot of fun. I'd give anything to be on that boat with you guys.
Bro, that feeling of winning and being around everybody that put the work in, from the front office all the way down to the strength staff, being with those guys and celebrating, I would rather chase that feeling of winning
than the actual end of the game. Wow, that's cool. What about when, like right now, here's the, off season right now. I know you guys are going to start it up pretty soon. I mean, it seems like you only get a few months off before you're back running and back at practice. But what do you do now? Now that time's over, you're spending time with your family. What does Will Gholston like to do for fun? What are your main hobbies when you're shut down from football?
So I just finished working out.
Okay.
I work out every morning. Right now, I say this off season, what I'm having the most fun doing is coaching my son's little league team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Baseball. He's how old? How old is he?
10. Plays football for the West Chase Colts.
Okay.
Plays football and he does jiu-jitsu and boxing.
Wow, jiu-jitsu. That's something that you're into, isn't it?
Yeah.
What caused you to get into that? Is it just something that keeps you in shape? Do you like to fight? What is it?
It was super by chance, man. My sensei, Casio, told me, hey, I can get you on the ground. I was at Bass Pro Shop. He was working behind the counter. He said, I could slam you on the ground. Like out of nowhere, just so confidently. And if you saw his stature compared to mine, you would understand why I was like, what the fuck? Excuse my language. What the heck?
Yeah, not a chance.
Yeah, what the heck? And then from that conversation, I can't. He got me to come to the gym. Then he came to see me, and then I kept going back and forth, and it's been on the road since then.
You're a competitor. You're a guy that doesn't want to lose at a game of pool against Coach D'Antonio. You're a guy that doesn't want to be slammed on the ground by a guy half your size.
Oh, he slammed me legitimately 20 times.
Wow. What about after football, Will? Do you think about when football is over? I mean, I hope you're still on this defense for a few more years. I think we need you. But when football is all done, what kind of business do you think you'd get into? Do you think you'd retire and just start playing golf all the time? Or do you think you would maybe try to get in the business world and invest in stuff or whatever?
Well, I'm doing that now so far. Right now I have a luxury transportation company that I'm running a little bit. I have real estate properties that I run. But the biggest thing I'm trying to do right now is get my own event space and do stuff like that. So I'm dabbling in the business world now. I haven't put 100% of my effort into it, but I put enough for it to be successful in my opinion.
Wow, that's awesome. Here's a guy that's really thinking beyond and doing things right. And man, it's a great story, Will. Really is. And I didn't know a lot of that about your growing up and how well adjusted that you are. I mean, obviously, it seems like school, Michigan State, taking those classes in psychology, probably really helped. Get your mind straight and figure it out. And just a awesome story. And I really appreciate your time. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not one of those guys I'm a little upset that Brady's gone. Okay. But I feel good. I feel good this year. I think that, Mayfield is going to be good. I like Trask. I think he's going to be good. I think the defense looks solid. I hope that you keep the majority of the guys together. But I have a feeling that you guys are going to do a lot better than those, ESPN guys say you're going to do.
It wouldn't be the first time the Buccaneers was an underdog. I got 100% faith in the staff that they're going to bring the right guys in. I got 100% faith in my teammates that they're going to ball out and do everything that they need to do to win.
Let me tell you a little bit about the Buccaneers back when you were a fan like me in the 80s, and you would roll up to the game in the what we called the old sombrero. It was only bleachers, and you'd just roll up to the game and you'd grab a pair of tickets on some guy in the parking lot's windshield wipers. I mean, that's what I had to go through as a fan back then. So when the Super Bowls came around in the 2000s, changed my life. So I know there's many more to come, man. Good luck to you. Great talking to you. And I really do appreciate it.
No doubt, man. You have a wonderful day.
First job was washing tires on cars, $20 a car. I still think that's pretty good money. And if it wasn't for the NFL, Will Gholston would probably have been a social worker. He grew up hard, not easy in the streets of Detroit. His parents were there. They didn't have the means to take care of him, and he was homeless from the age of 12 to 18 until he went to college, Michigan State University, and then met Coach D'Antonio. And probably those years were what changed his life. Goosebumps I've got right now. Tell you what a great success story. Super Bowl champion, Will Gholston. So again, if you like this podcast, don't forget to subscribe, give a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Until next week, I'm Jeff Zito. This is the Celebrity Jobber Podcast. Thanks for listening.